Y'all, I went to the thrift store last week with one of my girlfriends. It was half off day. Look at this dress. Like, I mean, what is it they say? Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. It's giving socialite. I just feel like I look like a bag of money. That's all. Hi y'all, and welcome to the Socialite Diaries. I am so excited for y'all to be back. So this is going to be part 2 for the Socialite Side Hustles. Today I'm going to be talking about house sitting and then educational side hustles. And I'm super excited about it because I actually will be house sitting in a few weeks. And it has just been such a lucrative experience to be able to, again, not just have monetary gain, but also to build my social capita. Because as we all know, those two things go hand in hand. And so I'm really excited to talk about it. I have been house sitting for about, I want to say 5 years. And when I very first moved to Texas, there was a family that I was very consistently babysitting and loved their family, loved getting to know them, loved babysitting their daughter. And they were the very first family that asked me to house sit. And I was thrilled. I was excited. The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. I remember sitting down with the mom and she was like, okay girl, like, how much do you charge? I'm like, I don't know. I would do this for free, so I don't know. And I remember that being one of the very first like raw, real conversations that I had about money, because I am extremely uncomfortable talking about money. I think I meet people and they don't mind asking people how much they make. They don't care asking how much somebody paid for something. Me personally, you could never tell me anything about money and I would not even ask. Wouldn't even cross my mind. I've really had to learn over the past couple of years that people who are good with money talk about money. People who have money talk about money. People who want money talk about money. People talk about money because you're gonna have to talk about it if you have none. You're gonna have to talk about it if you need it. I have gotten to a place where I'm not comfortable, but I will talk about money. And so I was extremely grateful for her because she didn't make me feel uncomfortable. She didn't make me feel silly, but she sat me down and she made me understand what it looks like to build a portfolio, to say, this is how much I charge for these things, to negotiate. I think that was my very first time ever negotiating anything. And it made me chuckle because I'm negotiating against the person who's paying me, who is teaching me how to negotiate. We sat together. I think we came up with the decision that I was gonna make $150 per night. I would be house sitting for 2 nights in a row. I wanna say I was cleaning, like minor things, and watering the plants outside. I think that was the extent of my job, and I would make $150 per night. I think I ended up walking away with $500 because I made $150 the first night, $150 the second night. I was so thrilled about it. I'm just very grateful about it. And she ended up just giving me $500. And now I have had the opportunity to house sit for the couple that I have been with for quite some time. And there are times where I chuckle a little bit because my very first time house sitting, I was living in a studio. Literally, I think my bedroom was in the kitchen. My bathroom was in the living room. Like everything was one space. And I remember just telling the Lord, like, I am going to be a good steward of this space. It's my first space. It is the only space that I have my name on. Not my parents' name, not my friend's name. This is Michaela's space. And I I had to learn a lot with that studio apartment. I was not the cleanest growing up. I had a lot of chaos in my life. My brain was constantly thinking, worrying about the next thing, worrying about where my next meal was going to come from. How was I paying my car payment? How was I getting to school? All of these things. And so it really reflected in my space. And I remember the Lord really pressing on my heart that I need to be able to trust you with this space, because why on earth would I give you something different and I can't even trust you with this tiny shoebox apartment? And after that, I made it my life's mission. This is my home. This is my home. This isn't even my apartment. Anyone who talks to me, every space that my name is on, that is my home, because I want it to feel like home. I want to treat it like it is a home, because I want to be a good steward of it. And I think that changed my whole perspective of how I cared for my space, because I am the person who is the leader of this home. All the way up until now, I have a husband. And so I laugh because I stewarded that 1-bedroom apartment like it was the Taj Mahal. Like, I was decorating, I was cleaning, I was going out to the store, I was getting things to make it look nice. The Lord was faithful in the fact that he honored me the next year with a bigger space, and then the next year with a bigger space, and then the next year with a bigger space. And now I am living in the space with my husband, and we are constantly having the conversation of how can we steward this space well. And all glory to God, we will be moving at the end of April into our very first home, and we're so excited to be able to be good stewards of our first home and show the Lord that we can handle it. We can not only handle it, we will do all of the things to care for it and show you that we can be good stewards of what you're willing to give us. I have been so thrilled to be able to house sit for this specific family, because their home is, it is the Taj Mahal. It is the Taj Mahal. The very first time that I house sat, I don't think I knew what to expect. I babysat before. And so I know what the property looks like, and I know what the home looks like strategically. I knew where everything was. However, I did not know how much maintenance and care goes into a home of that stature. Quickly learned the lesson of delegation. That to me is one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn, that I saw leaders doing all the time, like all day long. When I think about presidents of companies, when I think about principals of schools, when I think about head surgeons in medical care, they are not physically doing the work, but they're delegating, and they have to delegate all of the tiny minor tasks in which they may not have time for because of what they're doing. I quickly learned how much delegating went into that home. They had electricians, they had housekeepers, they have all of these pets, which we call the zoo, and just lawn maintenance, trash care. On Tuesdays, trash comes. On Wednesdays, housekeeping comes. On Saturdays, the fish gets fed, but does not get fed on Monday through Wednesday. Like, lots of delegation. And so I quickly started to learn the incredible task of what it means to delegate in a home of that size. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly. I think that it's something that I've kept in my toolkit in my own home, because if I come home and my biggest stressor every day is how am I going to get all of this done, I'm not going to get anything done. I know when I go to this home, this is my staycation. I pretend like this is my staycation, and I want to be able to enjoy my staycation. So how can I delegate all of these tasks in a manner in which it allows me to enjoy the space? That's what I do in my own home. How can I delegate laundry? How can I delegate cooking? How can I delegate all of these things in a manner that allows me to enjoy the space? If I know that I have time early in the morning, which I do, I get up early and I handle the cleaning, so that by the time I get home, the cooking only takes me 30 minutes, as opposed to now I have to wash the dishes in order to cook. Now I need to clean the counter off. I've gotten very blessed with a husband who is a neat freak. He wants to be in a space where he can think, because I can't think if I'm stepping over stuff in the hallway, stepping over stuff in the kitchen, my laundry. the couch that I'm trying to sit on. No. I've been able to take the task of delegation back into my own home, and it has allowed me a lot more time freedom because I'm able to say, like, these are all the things that I can get done in this time space, and now I have this amount of time that I can actually enjoy the space. And so that's been really important to me. This specific family, I did get married in December, and I was actually house sitting when we had our wedding, and my whole family knew that I was house sitting. I house sit all the time, and I was like, yeah, like if we're gonna have our wedding, because we had it at my grandmother's house, which is 8 minutes from the home, and I was like, yeah, like I have to go feed the dogs at 5 o'clock, so we need to have like social hour at 5 o'clock so I can go feed the dogs, but that I don't feel like I'm missing anything from my wedding. And so we did. It was actually one of the highlights of my day. And I think we really felt blessed in that the family now allows my husband to house sit with me. And it actually makes it a lot easier because he gets to handle all of the man tasks. He takes the trash out. On Tuesdays, if the trash is coming, he takes it to the end of the driveway. If there's something that needs to be moved that's heavy, he does it. And because we got married during that time, we said that this was our honeymoon staycation. We walked in and they had left their Christmas tree up. They had left us all these treats and goodies. They had given us these mugs that said husband and wife on them. Rolled out the red carpet. I think they had just had their theater room fixed that week. And so we sat and giggled and talked about being married and watched movies in the movie theater. Then the next day we went to the home gym and we worked out and we hung out. And we dreamed. We thought about, what does this look like for us? How can we be good stewards of the 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment that the Lord has allowed us to carry for this whole year? How can we be good stewards of it in a way that allows the Lord to understand and see in us that we can do this? Like we can do this and we can glorify you in it. I think about now moving into a home for ourselves. I don't see it as this monumental task where I have to learn how to care for the space, or I have to learn how to take care of the space, because it's something we've been doing. And it's something we've continued to do because it honors the Lord and it honors each other. When I think about social capita and monetary gain, a lot of times for me, because I know that my time is important and time is money, I know that having a side hustle such as house sitting, I can spend my whole day doing a million other things because my only job is to make sure that the house is put together. And that is no different than what I'm already doing in my daily life. And so I'm spending the day in this beautiful home, but I'm also able to answer emails. I'm also able to do lesson plans. I'm also able to spend time meal prepping. And so it not just allows you monetary gain, social gain, it allows you to multitask. Like I don't think people take multitasking serious enough. That has been such a blessing because it is a side hustle that doesn't feel like one. It's something that I genuinely would do for free. And it has allowed me to make money while I'm doing all of the other things that make me money. I can sit and do my lesson plans for my full-time job while I'm also making money from house sitting. I think it has been just such an incredible experience to see the growth that I've been able to have in this specific stream of income. I am super excited to house sit at the end of this month because I know that this is a staycation for me. This is a staycation for my husband. But more than that, it allows me to glean from someone who is in the shoes that I want to walk in, and for me to be able to get some ideas for my own home. Like, they have some of the most beautiful house decor that I've ever seen, and I can be able to look at it, and because I've been able to see it, I can dream it. So that is house sitting. It has been just a brilliant experience. I think logistics wise, the last time that we house sat was for 6 days, and I made a total of $1,000 that I was able to put away, and ended up being a little bit of a safety fund for us. And it was just a blessing because I was also working my full-time job. Those whole 6 days, I was clocking in at work and then I was coming to house it. It didn't feel like extra work. It just felt like I was going home to do the normal things that I would do at home. And it allowed me to get my paycheck while also getting this extra paycheck. It was really incredible. It has been incredible. It has been such a blessing to my family. And with that being said, the next thing that has been another incredible blessing to my family, and again, one of my favorite side hustles because it is a multitasking side hustle, educational side hustles. So this is the biggest one, the one that I'm going to talk about because it's the one that I have experience in, is fellowships and internships. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and then a master's of human sciences, and have had the opportunity to really actually study and research the movement of social classes within society. Incredible opportunity for my senior research project to choose my own topic, and I chose to study pageantry and just the impact of having an affluential background, and it allowed me to really go deeply into the study of what it means to be a socialite. If nothing else, I love the research behind classism. I think it is so interesting to study. I think one of the things that I was able to really enjoy during my time in my program was the ability to make a large amount of money while I was just doing school. I was already doing the research. I was already doing the writing. I was already in these spaces with people who were benefiting my education. And so the next step, being an internship or a fellowship, was just second nature. For a long time, I was under the impression that once I graduated, I could not get an internship. I could not do a fellowship, and I was wrong. And so in the past 2 years, I have been in 2 fellowships. One, I received payment in the form of travel, hotel stay, and stipend. And then the second one, I received payment in the form of actual payment, monetary gain. And both were really incredible experiences because it allowed me to really beef up my resume in order to start applying for full-time jobs once I was looking. But it also allowed me to get my writing out there. I really have enjoyed being able to write about different civic movements in Houston. And so being able to get paid for it, I was already going to do that. I already was going to do that. And now y'all want to pay me for it? Please. What is the saying? You never work a day in your life when you're doing something you love. Yeah. I'm going to talk specifically about my second fellowship because I was receiving an actual paycheck once a month, and my requirements were that I was publishing actively during this time, and then I was attending the required virtual meetings and in-person meetings. I am someone who does love to keep a busy schedule, and so I did have to get really good at scheduling out my meetings with my writing coaches, my meetings with my fellowship, when I would have to be in person, when I was virtual. But I think the beautiful thing about fellowships after COVID is that most of them are virtual. And so I wasn't having to travel except maybe once every 2 months. And it really allowed me my own time and space to decide when I wanted to write and what I wanted to write. At this time, I was actually unemployed. I had just left a job that I could not stand. Went back and forth with the Lord about it, did everything he asked me to do. And at some point he was like, okay, you have the green light to leave. And so I left. That's the first time I have ever left a job where I didn't know where I was going next. And so I was really stressed because I was like, well, how am I gonna pay rent? How am I gonna survive? Like, how am I gonna pay my car note? Lord, what in the world? I had a friend who actually forwarded me the fellowship flyer. I applied on a whim. I did the interview and I accepted the fellowship. And I would be receiving $1,168 a month stipend. So fellowships and internships can range in how much you make, how much they compensate you for, what they compensate you for. It really does depend on what you decide to apply for. So I know like Google has a paid fellowship and internship. And my little brother was one of the interns for Google and was making an actual salary, while my fellowship was a stipend. And so I knew that every month I would receive the same amount. It really depends on you and what you want to apply for. But if that is something that you're interested in, if academia is your jam, like it is mine, then I highly, highly, highly suggest internships and fellowships, because it allows you to learn, to work, to study your passions, to beef up your resume, but it also allows you in rooms where you are networking all the time. All the time you're networking. When I started my very first fellowship, I was in the room with PhDs, I was in the room with people with Nobel Peace Prizes, I was in the room with people who were bumping and rubbing elbows with celebrities, and it really allowed me to, again, see what I might be interested in one day. I was able to dream bigger because I was around people who had already been in the shoes that I wanted to walk in. I will say that over and over and over again, because it is something that is so, so important, because you cannot, if you don't see it, it is so hard to dream it. People are blueprints. People are blueprints. Learn from them. It was really, really a cool opportunity, because I knew when it came time to applying for actual jobs and applying for doctoral programs, I already had a list of people who were willing to write my recommendation letters because of the fellowships that I had been a part of, because of the work that I had done. I ended up writing in my first fellowship, I think I wrote and published two pieces, wrote, I want to say 6 pieces, and one of my pieces went viral. And then in this second fellowship, I think I wrote 8 pieces, I want to say. I think I wrote 8 pieces and I published 4 pieces, and one of them went viral. And so I have had the incredible opportunity of being able to be in rooms where I get to talk about my piece, where I get to meet really cool people who have read my piece, and my piece has been reposted by different news companies, which has been really, really cool to see. And so it has given me the leg up socially to be able to be in rooms and spaces with people who align in the things that I'm interested in, but also in the things that drive my life's work. And not to mention, I'm getting paid for it while working my full-time job. I started teaching part of the way through my fellowship, and so now I'm making a teacher paycheck while getting this $1,160 stipend every month. I mean, what more could you want? And then don't let it be a month where I'm doing my fellowship on Monday, house sitting on Saturday, and working my normal job. Please, please. I was getting matcha every day. Every day I was getting matcha. I don't know who I was. Part of the reason that I find this side hustle to be such a beneficial one is because you really don't know who you're gonna meet and what rooms you'll be allowed in. I was able to use some of the connections that I had to get into some rooms and to speak with different people. I got invited to oh gosh, I'll have to go back and find some pictures, but I got invited to quite a few political events. I am someone who does do some political writing, and so I was able to meet some senators, I was able to meet some ambassadors, people running for mayor, and again, whole time I'm getting paid. whole time I'm making money doing this. I just remember my very first political rally that I was invited to talk at, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing here? Like, Lord, how did we get here? How did we get here? And I just, again, remember standing in the mirror and being like, Lord, like, you have done your big one. You've done your big one. I'm getting paid to be here. People are reading my writing. It's mind-boggling, because I think about, if he can do that, how much more can he do? I'm 27 years old. I'm just starting out. And the Lord has allowed me to steward things in which my own parents have been like, well, how did you do that? I don't know. It was God. I think if you're interested in academia, fellowships and internships are an incredible side hustle, because all you're doing is what you already know. You are writing, you are coding, you are doing the job in which you are already preparing for, and you are making the money to do it while making connections, so that when you want to start out full time, you're already halfway through the door. Thank you for joining me once again on the Socialite Diaries. I'm going to pray us out. Thank you, Jesus, for just everything that you have done for us. Thank you for wisdom, Lord. I just ask for wisdom as we go and as we come, God. I thank you for the week ahead. Just continue to bless us. Continue to allow us to honor you, to be good stewards of what we have, God. Thank you for who you are and who we are becoming, Lord. Amen. All right. See you on the next one. Bye.